Everyone keeps telling me how my story is supposed to go. Nah, I'm gonna do my own thing.
These are the most savage Spider-Man scenes in the movies.
Oh, buddy, love the new outfit. This is exactly what I need to scoop Parker.
There's no better way to kick off a video like this than with Bully Maguire from Spider-Man 3. That dude was an absolute menace, and his memory lives on even today in the form of viral memes and GIFs. Amongst the many other sassy moments he gave us throughout the film, one moment that really made me giggle was when he violated Eddie Brock. No, I know which scene you're thinking of, but I'm actually referring to when Symbiote Spider-Man smashes his camera when all he asks for is a little web action. Look, I know Eddie can be a jerk at times, but even he didn't deserve to get humiliated the way it happened here. Like, that camera must have cost him a lot of money, and when he finally thought he'd get a scoop over Peter Parker, he gets sabotaged, and how? I wouldn't be surprised if this happened to be the true beginning of his villain arc either. I mean, think about it. This small moment is the catalyst for the rest of the movie. If Eddie had just kept his mouth shut and Bully Maguire kept the bully in check, he would have gotten his photo, wouldn't have needed to fake one, and would never have become Venom.
I want you to kill Peter Parker.
But yeah, the way Tobey Maguire said, "See ya, chump," was absolute gold. Eddie's response to that was even funnier, and all this makes me want to do is watch Spider-Man 3 again.
See ya, chump.
Do you want to play a game?
Catch! Now, Doc Ock is supposed to be this insane villain with a spectacular aura to top his inconceivable intellect. I mean, seeing him make his comeback in Spider-Man No Way Home was a highlight not just of the movie, but of 2021 in general. So when the MCU's Peter Parker ends up toying with his octopus arms, it really made us wonder what all of that build-up was even for. Of course, this is because Doc Ock ended up absorbing Spidey's nanotech, which instantly gave him control of his arms. It was hilarious to see how Tom Holland started toying with his opponent after realizing the massive advantage he'd just gained.
Pairing new device.
You don't listen to him, you listen to me.
You can also sense the disdain from Otto Octavius as he desperately tries to control his arms, only to be made a fool by our hero. Normally, I wouldn't like such a legacy character to be mocked this way, but it was all in jest, so I'll let it pass. There's also the fact that if Peter didn't do this, then he'd most likely have met his end at the hands of Doc. I also loved how he told Otto to behave while he was sorting out the other civilians caught up in the battle. This is literally a case of when the student becomes the master, or when the student is from a different reality.
Hey! Until you stop trying to kill me, I'm in control, buddy, of this whole tentacle situation you got going on here, okay? Now, who are you?
Go ahead, lay one on me.
Really?
Yeah, they'll love it.
Well, if you're going to be a superhero as popular as Spider-Man, then the least you can do is capitalize on your female following. Bro's Riz was on a whole nother level during Spider-Man 3, and yes, I'm including the dance for that as well. But hey, this entry ain't about the dance, it's about when Gwen Stacy lands a smooch upside down style in front of a live audience. It's the kind of flex any man of culture would love, and Peter Parker gets to live out his dream here. See what happens when you actually save Gwen from a fall? Alright, that was a cheap shot, but I've just got to take it, haven't I? Anyway, what really makes this such a standout is the fact that Spidey's enjoying this action right in front of Mary Jane, which is, well, it's not ideal, is it? I know the MJ of the Raimi universe is considered to be amongst the worst girlfriends of all time, but even so, bro should have been a little more discreet with his public appearances. Shout out to that kid who kept asking Spider-Man not to do it. He clearly knew this wouldn't make for good optics. Oh, and here's another fun fact for you if you're a movie nerd, okay? MJ's actress Kirsten Dunst is blonde in reality and ginger in the movie, but Gwen Stacy's actress Bryce Dallas Howard is ginger in real life and blonde in the movie. Mind-blowing, isn't it?
I hope Pete's getting a shot of this.
I got it! Activate instant kill!
You know, morals and ethics can be a slippery slope if you happen to be a superhero. Just look at the MCU Spider-Man, for example. Bro was trying to be all innocent and sweet back in Spider-Man Homecoming, stating that he didn't want to take any lives with the instant kill feature.
Activating instant kill.
No, I don't want to kill anybody.
Deactivating instant kill.
However, when push came to shove in the legendary final battle of Avengers Endgame, Bro didn't even hesitate to activate instant kill. Of course, his enemies in this case weren't human beings, but in the eyes of the TV Regent, all lives are equal. So Peter Parker has got to take the heat on this one. Not to say I didn't enjoy it though, because it was a savage moment when Spider-Man ends up taking down multiple Chitauri soldiers within a matter of seconds. It's a moment that doesn't get enough love, and it's also followed by an amazing sequence of events. Man, this is such a loaded scene that the instant kill isn't even the be-all or end-all moment. You've got Spidey flying off Mjolnir thrown by Steve Rogers, after which he gets assistance from Valkyrie and Pepper, who's basically Iron Woman here. Bro really found himself in the middle of some tremendous action.
Hang on, I got you, kid.
Hey, nice to meet you. Oh my God!
We all love a superhero who goes against the law for the greater good. In this case, it's Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man who makes a great impression, especially after I sneak dissed him like Drake in the earlier Gwen Stacy entry. Anyway, the scene where he fights the cops after getting unmasked was a freaking brutal display of skill. It was almost as if the dude just awakened Giga Chad mode and went ballistic on a bunch of unsuspecting cops, as if he was doing some kind of casual warm-up exercise. No, seriously, it's insane to me how Andrew Spidey was able to defeat an entire SWAT team while also managing to hide his face by looking down.
Wow! Very dangerous!
It was totally badass and menacing, which I always root for. Also, let's not forget the fact that he did all of this without hurting his opponents and even snapped the gun in half like it was a cookie. This version shows how dangerous and powerful Spider-Man is, so I have to give it to the director and the production staff for giving us such a brilliant moment. Also, completely unrelated here, but I can't even imagine how shocked George Stacy would have been when he found out that Peter Parker isn't just a menace to his daughter, but also to his job.
Parker. It's headed to Oscorp, and your daughter's there right now. You gotta let me go.
Hold your fire! You're not supposed to be Spider-Man!
No! You're lying! I'm Spider-Man!
You're a mistake!
Ain't no party like a Spidey party. Well, considering the fact that the Spideys in question are chasing after Miles Morales, it isn't exactly a party, but to the audience, it's kind of all the same, isn't it? Escaping a literal multiverse of Spider-Man variants is a task and a half, but then to be confronted by Miguel O'Hara and come out on top was the icing on the cake. Nobody would have rooted for Miles to be able to escape the Spider People, but he did, and also landed a couple of slick lines while he was at it. You know, the whole "you're a mistake" speech Miguel makes can easily be answered with a question like, and how's that my fault?
Miles, it's for your own good.
Who decides that? I'm not a kid, Gwen!
That's exactly what you are. You're just a kid who has no idea what he's doing!
Miles didn't create this spider, Miles didn't summon the spider, Miles literally didn't do anything actively. Someone else brought the spider there, and someone else deprived a universe of their Spider-Man. Miles is just trying to play the cards he's been dealt, so the least the other Spideys could have done was to offer the support he so desperately needed. Well, at least we got to see a savage version of the character because of it, which was the one thing I felt was lacking up until that point.
Yeah, well, I did lure hundreds of spider people away from your little clubhouse.
I guess he did plan this out. Leave me alone.
Give me rent.
You'll get your rent when you fix this damn door!
Don't you just hate it when it's the time of the month when you have to say goodbye to your rent money? Yeah, it sucks, but we've got to do our part when it comes to paying what we've agreed, right? Not Bully Maguire though. That dude doesn't pay rent even when it's due to a sweet man like Mr. Diktovich.
Rent?
Technically speaking, he was well within his right to ask for the rent, but that clearly seemed to have ticked Peter off, which is what led to that epic exchange. It was the first proper time we got to see Bully Maguire release his rage onto people who didn't have any kind of conflict with him. Well, this was kind of a financial conflict, but it definitely wasn't anything like Eddie Brock trying to outdo his competitor or Sandman for obvious revenge purposes. It is really sweet though, because rather than rising to Peter's anger and getting into an argument, Mr. Diktovich recognises that he wasn't being himself and figured that he must be in trouble. Man, I wish I had a landlord like that back when I was in college. It would have definitely spared me a lot of unpleasant conversations.
He is a good boy. She must be in some kind of trouble.
Okay, so I know this scene actually has Spidey getting his butt handed to him by Green Goblin, but an interesting thing to note is that towards the end of the battle, it looks like he's trying to stop pulling his punches against the villain. Of course, that still isn't enough, which leads him to getting smashed through the floor, but it does kick off a sequence of events that eventually culminates into Spider-Man losing Aunt May.
May? What are you doing, May? Please, will you just wake up and talk to me, please?
I can totally side with Spidey here because all the men of culture over the world felt the same rage as he did when the Goblin took May away from us. That wasn't cool, bro. Having said that, the lines he delivered here were an absolute masterclass in strong enough to have it all, too weak to take it. That is such a good quote to contrast against with great power comes great responsibility.
Strong enough to have it all. Too weak to take it!
I also find it absolutely insane that William Dafoe walked onto the set of 2 different Spider-Man movies just to throw hands with the actor who's played the titular superhero. But yeah, this was the beginning of the MCU's Bully Holland arc, which is why it finds its way to number 18.
Parker, you are such a Boy Scout. When are you gonna give a guy a break?
Listen, you shouldn't be surprised if you see a lot of Bully Maguire on this list, because the video is basically made for characters like him. Even though this movie gets the most hate out of all the Raimi films, it's still given us some of the most meme-worthy characters of all time. So we should put some respect on his name in the same way he puts dirt in Eddie Brock's eyes over here. Exposing the fraud for wrongful misrepresentation and misuse of someone else's photography is something that even Daredevil would agree to, but the way Spidey does it over here is pretty sassy. The whole line about finding religion to seek forgiveness was pretty epic, especially when you know you have your opponent done for in front of everyone in the workplace. It was merciless for sure, because it led to Brock losing his job, but hey, he's an adult and he knew what he was doing was wrong, so we shouldn't really feel too much sympathy for him.
There's not a paper in town that will hire me.
You should have thought of that earlier.
And yes, lots of respect for J. Jonah Jameson here. He may hate Superman to the T, but immediately realised that he was wrong. No humorous jokes or dirty tactics at all. He immediately fired Eddie Brock and swallowed his pride to issue an apology.
Pack your things. Get out of my building.
I was just...
You're fired!
You're a lot like your father. You really are, Peter, and that's a good thing. But your father lived by a philosophy, a principle, really. He believed that if you could do good things for other people, you had a moral obligation to do those things. That's what's at stake here. Not choice, responsibility.
Okay, so this one doesn't have any jokes or gags in it or anything like that, and it's actually a very serious scene, but it also showcases the depth of Spider-Man's character, so I feel it definitely deserves a spot on this list. The argument he has with Uncle Ben regarding responsibility is a difficult moment to watch once you realise how much it implies regarding Peter Parker's upbringing. When he got upset after Uncle Ben's speech, it perfectly conveyed how it feels for a teen to talk back to a parent or a guardian and say things that you've been wanting to say for a while. Your sentences become short, tears start welling in your eyes before you can stop them, the immediate avoidance of eye contact. I mean, it's incredible acting on so many levels, which is why I definitely feel bad for Andrew Garfield to not have gotten a third solo flick.
Call an ambulance! Someone call an ambulance! Uncle Ben! Uncle Ben! Oh, God! Oh, my God! Oh, God!
The line that he says about his dad not being there for him or taking the responsibility to look after his own son was definitely not something in good taste, but it does offer a sassy rebuttal to everything that Uncle Ben has said to him up until that point.
Where's my dad? He didn't think it was his responsibility to be here to tell me this himself.
Oh, come on, how dare you?
How dare I? How dare you?
Hey, Freak Show! You're going nowhere! I got you for 3 minutes! 3 minutes of playtime!
The world of wrestling is a great way to launch promising careers for certain celebrities. It gave us people like Dwayne Johnson, Dave Bautista, John Cena, and in this case, Spider-Man. The fight against Bonesaw could easily be seen as a launching platform for Spidey, and it was a hilarious display to say the least. Tobey Maguire totally delivers with his sassy lines here, and even the way he defeats his opponent with those rapid kicks towards the end was hilarious. It kind of reminded me of how Mystique took down Senator Kelly in the first X-Men movie, but with a lot more spectacle. Also, is nobody going to talk about how he legit showed his spiderweb powers in front of thousands of people and nobody even cared? Maybe they thought it was one of his props, you know. And yes, kudos to the announcer who literally gave our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man his name. The human spider kind of sounds like some kind of evil monster, so I'm glad he had the good sense to reframe it on the spot. Of course, it had to be played by Sam Raimi's good old buddy Bruce Campbell, also known as Ash Williams from the Evil Dead franchise.
Stark was right. You do deserve that.
You can't trick me anymore.
Mysterio really is a menace, whether he's dealing with Spider-Man or Taylor Swift. Bro's taken gaslighting to a whole other level across real and real life, so I think it was in everyone's best interest that these tricks didn't happen to work in either scenario. After all, the crazed Swifties attacked Jake Gyllenhaal across social media, and Spider-Man defeated Mysterio with ease once he activated his true Spidey sense. Honestly, from the looks of it, I'd say Bro was using Ultra Instinct because the way he went through those drones was nothing short of spectacular. The main reason why I consider it to be savage is because of how nonchalantly Peter sees through Mysterio's final deception and takes him down without even breaking a sweat. But yeah, I still don't think somebody would die simply by having some glasses taken away from them.
You'll see, Peter. People didn't believe. And nowadays, they'll believe anything.
Just give me a chance. Just give me a chance! What about my uncle? Did you give him a chance? Did you?
When it comes to stuff like vengeance and embracing the darkness, it's usually Batman who comes to mind. However, if we're to consider Peter Parker's act of vengeance for what happened to Uncle Ben, I'd say Bruce Wayne has a tough competitor. Of course, fighting the goon and getting rid of him was how the scene ended, but I really felt an impact when Spidey first started chasing the probable culprit. You can sense his nervousness and inexperience due to not having done this too many times before, but the look in his eyes was all that we needed to know Bro has entered Chad mode.
Pick out the shooter. He's headed south on 5th Avenue. We got 3 cars in pursuit. All right, folks, come on, help us out. Move back.
His energy throughout this sequence showcased the raw emotions of a boy who's lost his sense of composure, and the screaming towards the end was a great bit of acting too. The aggression on display was unlike anything Spider-Man's known for, and it further highlights how much he's grown, especially when he swings with so much control later on in the movie. Watching this scene also reminds me of the speech Toby gave Tom in No Way Home. Man, nostalgia really hits you harder than anything else, doesn't it?
See ya.
If you're nothing without this suit, then you shouldn't have it.
Come on, Spider-Man. Come on, Spider-Man.
We're kicking off the top 10 with a display of strength that highlights not only Spider-Man's tenacity, but also the savage nature of his powers. We're familiar with the web crawler's skills such as web slinging, Spidey sense and sticking to walls, but it's very easy to forget that he also has super strength at his disposal. After all, Peter Parker always pulls back his punches, so we're simply led to believe that he's probably not that strong. Of course, there are scenes such as the train sequence that prove otherwise, but the main one in focus here is when he lifts all the rubble on top of him in Homecoming. The sequence has Peter scared for his life, almost giving up on any chances of survival, but then his instincts kick in and he lifts everything off him with the kind of rage that almost makes you scared of him. It's like he's saying, "To hell with you all, I'm going to show you the real power of Spider-Man." Flash Thompson isn't the kind of bully who commands respect, at least not the OG Raimi version anyway. That dude looked like a proper brat who totally deserved to be humbled.
Think you're pretty funny, don't you, freak?
Flash, it was just an accident.
That's why this particular sequence is peak savagery at the hands of a teenager who doesn't even realise what he's just done. It kicks off with that ridiculously impressive stunt where Peter catches MJ while also gathering everything on the tray. Yeah, that sequence is going to be an immortal one, regardless of the 156 takes it may have taken to achieve it without CGI. If that wasn't sassy enough, Spider-Man's given a test run of his many abilities when Flash takes him on, resulting in complete and utter humiliation for the bully, although the crowd was pretty sus for not supporting the good guy here, including MJ. Like, were you not just looking at the same exact guy with dreamy eyes a few moments ago? See, this is why people call her a horrible girlfriend.
Physical. What?
How are you doing that?
I have no idea.
You should not be able to do that.
It takes a lot in general to defeat someone at the level of Doctor Strange, so forget about managing to humiliate him with his own craft. Well, Spider-Man doesn't care for any of that logic because he manages to use the power of math to defeat his opponent in the most savage manner possible. Bro literally took all of Doctor Strange's tactics and used them against him to trap the Sorcerer Supreme in an embarrassing position.
Don't do this. Ow.
Yeah, I know the title is supposed to be Wong's, but we all know who the wizarding MVP is in the MCU. The fact that Peter doesn't even rub it in that much in Strange's face is more of a flex, but I feel the sassiest part was him casually breaking down the magical tricks calmly in his head. Bro literally beat fiction with facts and came out on top like nobody else could ever do. Imagine having a professor like him in math class. Everyone would be graduating with scholarships.
Hey, Strange! You know what's cooler than magic? Math!
You know, I think we need to give Symbiote Spider-Man a lot more credit than we normally do. Yeah, it did give Peter Parker a lot of enhanced powers, but look at all the side benefits as well. Bro got boosted with piano skills, insane dance moves, and plus 1000% confidence. The dance he pulls off with Gwen Stacy before Mary Jane can even begin her performance was sassy, but more importantly, extremely brutal. I know he was trying to be savage with MJ for being a horrible girlfriend, but pulling off something like this is definitely toxic jerk behaviour. Don't let it take anything away from the performance itself though, that was lit AF. Also, I know this doesn't have anything to do with being savage, but the way Gwen Stacy apologised to MJ after realising Bully Maguire's intentions was so wholesome, and it made her instantly likeable as a character. Plus, she's blonde, so that definitely helps.
That was all for her? I'm so sorry.
Yep, I don't think there's ever going to be a list where this movie is going to dominate as much as it does here. Taking on the Sandman is no joke because that dude is ridiculously overpowered. However, Symbiote Spider-Man manages to make a complete and total mockery of the character by dominating him with rage and savagery. Just look at the way he shouted everything when Flint Marko asked him what did it matter if he shot down Uncle Ben. Yeah, that was a big blunder on his part, but even then, I'd say Sandman didn't deserve to be beaten up so brutally, especially after learning that he didn't intentionally kill Peter's uncle.
No, I have no intention of settling down. This man killed my uncle, and he's still out there.
It's amazing to think how much more powerful Spider-Man becomes with the symbiote suit, which is exactly why this fight is so impactful. Even in Spider-Man's final moments before being drained away, the only line Peter thinks about is good riddance, which is merciless to say the least.
Something's different. I'll figure it out. Stop lecturing me, please.
I don't mean to lecture and I don't mean to preach. And I know I'm not your father.
Then stop pretending to be.
They really should have hired Uncle Ben as some kind of motivational speaker because damn, that man could spit bars hotter than Kendrick Lamar. The speech he gives Peter after the whole incident with Flash Thompson was inspirational to say the least, and of course, it included the one line that made Spider-Man everything he is today. Just hearing, with great power comes great responsibility, gives me the chills, and even a lot of the other stuff that he says, it does make a lot of sense.
These are the years when a man changes into the man he's going to become the rest of his life.
All of that is laid to waste though when Peter brutally tells him that he's not his father, so he should stop pretending to be. Damn bro, did you really have to go that far? It's actually a lot more hurtful than anything Bully Maguire ever said, which makes me wonder if he actually had this persona inside him the whole time. What really makes me sad though, is I think that this is actually their last conversation together. Damn it. I think I got something in my eye again.
Stay back!
That's my uncle! What happened?
carjacker. He's been shot. Look, we just called the paramedics. They're on their way.
Hey, stay back.
Go ahead. Take it.
Flash Thompson finds himself on today's list yet again, although it's in a game of basketball this time. Peter Parker found the perfect way to get sassy with his bully here, and the humiliation he inflicts on Flash in front of all his teammates was pretty hardcore if you ask me.
Just take it.
Once again, I will maintain that the girl who was trying to draw or paint or whatever she was doing right next to a basketball court is probably not the brightest bulb in the world now, is she? Anyway, we've still got to see some slick moves that were capped off with a rather excessive slam dunk that really should have made the witnesses wonder if there was something up with Peter here. As far as Flash is concerned, I'd say he got so badly violated that being speechless was probably his best line of defense.
I bring it! Come on, Parker! Come on!
And when she kissed me, it was just like she used to kiss me. That taste. Strawberries.
Ah man, this has got to be the most diabolical moment ever in a Spider-Man movie. You've literally got two best friends going at each other with no hesitation, and they're exchanging some pretty stinging commentary. Now, as good as Harry Osborne is, he's no match for the trash talker that is Bully Maguire, and we see it multiple times throughout the entire sequence.
Look at little Goblin Jr. Gonna cry?
Whether he's acting scared when Harry threatens to beat him up or even mocking him as Goblin Jr. about to cry, it was a savage and merciless way to dominate his opponent. Of course, what would have hurt the most would have been when Bully Maguire told Harry that his father never loved him and considered him to be a disappointment. Like, come on bro, you've beaten him already, don't make it worse than what it already is. And yes, nothing tops off a fight more than flinging your opponent's final attack right back at them. This was the closest I've ever seen Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man when it comes to flipping over to the dark side. And what's even more surprising is that it's Tobey Maguire who ends up stopping him. Look, I get that Peter is very much agitated and out for vengeance due to losing Aunt May, and believe me, I would have probably followed through if I was in his place. However, we need to remember that he spent this entire film talking about how they shouldn't kill the villains. So it'd be pretty ironic if he ended up doing the one thing he was so against. But yeah, seeing him land those punches with no restraint at all made me genuinely fear for him, which I thought was genuinely impossible for a guy who looks like that.
If you want the shots, I'll take the staff job. Double the money.
This movie has dominated the majority of this video, so it only makes sense to give it the top spot as well. And of course, how can we ignore the singular moment that turned Bully Maguire into an internet sensation all over the world? Now, I know that I'm mainly referring to that dance, but there's a lot of other stuff that he does here as well.
You got any with nuts?
I have some nuts. I could make some.
Go make me some.
Putting his feet in front of J. Jonah Jameson, rizzing Ursula to no end, and even using his finger guns on the woman passing him by on the street, this man had the kind of confidence that even God wouldn't be able to give to you if he wanted. I really have to hand it to Tobey Maguire for making his character feel so freaking different when compared to his actual Spider-Man persona. I can now officially say that Spider-Man 3 has aged extremely well amongst audiences. Hope you liked the video, please subscribe to the TV Regent, and here's another video I know you're going to enjoy.